If you have a missing tooth or you're about to get a tooth taken out, you're probably wondering how you can replace that missing tooth. And if you're not wondering this, or you just want to leave that spot alone after that tooth has come out, I definitely want you to reconsider. Unless we're talking about a wisdom tooth or a tooth that you just won't be chewing with, I would definitely replace that missing tooth. The reason is when you lose a tooth, the teeth that surround that missing space will start to move. Listen, our teeth are super annoying. They like to be close to other teeth. So when a tooth goes bye-bye, they get lonely. Your teeth will see a tooth disappear and they'll see that next tooth over and they'll start to get closer and closer to try to close that gap. And that's not all. The tooth on the opposing side or the opposing arch wants some love too. So that tooth will start to grow in more or hyper erupt to try to close in that missing gap as well. Now I know what you're wondering, like, oh, I don't care if some teeth shift. I mean, they're probably way in the back and no one's gonna see them and I'm still gonna chew just fine. And I just don't wanna spend all that money on just one tooth. Well, it really just depends on what your goals are. If you want your teeth to last a lifetime, you're definitely gonna be regretting that decision down the road. Over time, as those teeth shift, they'll get harder to clean. And not only that, the bite will get thrown off with them, they'll be harder to chew with, they'll be more prone to cracking, more prone to getting cavities, and basically you're more likely to lose those teeth in the future. And now just losing that one tooth has turned into 2, 3, or maybe 4 teeth. You're not gonna be happy about that later on. And again, we're not gonna be chewing foods the same, and the more teeth we lose, the harder it is to chew. So if you're missing a tooth, it makes it harder to eat. And when it's harder to eat, we don't chew our foods as good. And that means we start to rely on softer, less nutritious foods, and these foods really add up over time and they can really cause some other health problems. Okay, I'm done lecturing you, but what is the best way to replace a missing tooth? Well, obviously there's nothing as good as the teeth we were born with, but we can get something pretty close. Usually the debate will come down between a bridge versus an implant. If we're talking about just replacing one tooth, a bridge is typically 3 crowns that are connected as one long unit. So if you have a missing tooth, you would put a crown on the tooth in front of that spot and a crown on the tooth behind that spot and replace that missing tooth with another crown. Now an implant, on the other hand, is its own individual tooth. An implant is a titanium screw that screws into the bone, and that mimics the roots of your teeth. And on top of the implant, we would attach a separate new crown. Now in an ideal circumstance, the best of the best way to replace a missing tooth is with an implant. And research proves this because research shows that the best long-term success is with dental implants as opposed to dental bridges. So if you want something that's guaranteed to last as long as possible, I would go with the dental implant. Also, implants are easier to clean. Like I said before, it's its own individual tooth. So you can floss in between it, as opposed to a bridge, you have to floss kind of underneath it, and it's just harder to do. Also, side note, for either a bridge or an implant, I would definitely recommend water flossing in addition to flossing that area, just to keep the area super clean. And another benefit with implants is they preserve the bone in your jaw. The screw we use for implants will integrate with your bone, and it will prevent the bone from going away. A bridge, like I said before, is all one unit. It's harder to keep clean, and although it has very good long-term success, it's just not quite as good as implants. The problems with the bridge, though, is since it's all one unit, if one of those teeth that surround that bridge go bad, now you have to lose the entire bridge just because of that one tooth. And that just means more headaches and more money coming out of your pocket. And like I said before, cleaning a bridge is super annoying because you have to put that floss underneath that bridge, and your dentist will probably go over techniques on how to do that when they give you a bridge, but it can get super annoying. Also, when you're doing a bridge, you risk removing unnecessary tooth structure. And the reason is you have to crown the tooth in the front of the bridge and crown the tooth in the back of the bridge. If those teeth are already healthy, then you're crowning those teeth for no reason. And anytime you drill on a tooth and remove some of that tooth structure, you can never get it back. Now, ideally, implants are always the way to go, but who shouldn't get an implant? Well, implants require a surgery, and while it's pretty straightforward, there are definitely some people that don't want to go through that. Also, some people have health complications like diabetes and smoking, or they just have a ton of bone loss, and it might not be practical for them to get an implant. And some people absolutely do not want to wait at all to get a tooth replaced. They want a new tooth right away. Well, the fastest way to replace that tooth is with a bridge. With an implant, you usually have to let that site heal a little bit before you get the tooth. Now, this can vary depending on the case, and every case is different, so I'm not going to give an exact time frame, but sometimes you can speed this process up with an implant. It just depends on how your body is. And regardless, we can always give a temporary solution until you're ready to get the real thing. Like, for example, if we take a tooth out, we can make you what's called a flipper, which is basically a partial denture that replaces just one tooth. And this is removable. You can take it in and out, so for pictures it would be great, but once the real thing comes, you won't need it anymore. Again, there's tons of options here, and every case is so unique, so it's best to talk to your dentist beforehand and get a good game plan. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you liked that video, and if you haven't already, please hit the thumbs up button and subscribe to my channel below, and I'll see you in the next video.